Okay, today we're going to continue with Siman Reish Amud Gimel over here, Siv Gimel. We're going to pick it up from where we left off yesterday. We're going to now dissect this Ramah. Ramah said that if a person cannot afford, we'll just see it actually on the actual page over here. The Ramah said that if a person is unable to afford wine for Kiddush and the Chanukah candle, which he says look later on. Okay, so that's the discussion over there. If a person cannot afford a Shabbos candle, the Ramah says, and the candle for Hanukkah, so the Shabbos candle will come first because of peace in the house, because there's no peace in the house without a candle over here, right? So they explain over here that regarding that question of what comes first, when the Ramah said the wine for Kiddush or for the candle for Hanukkah, so the Hanukkah candle will come first because it has Persume Nisa. So the Hanukkah candle will come first because of Persume Nisa. Okay, so that's important over there. Okay, that's that's that idea. The Mishnah Brura over here in Yud Gimel. Mishnah Brura says even though that Kiddush is from the Torah, nevertheless the wine is midrabanan. Doing on the wine is rabbinic, and you fulfill your obligation from the Torah in Shemona Esrei. Furthermore, you could make Kiddush on bread. That's why the Shabbos candle will come before Kiddush.
Not before
The
Chal.
question is not before Chal, for sure not. So the question is, even though the Kiddush is from the Torah, and how could that push off the obligation of Kiddush, which is from the Torah? How could that push off? How could that be pushed off by Shabbos with a Shalom bias, peace in the house? The answer is because the Kiddush you could do on the wine is only rabbinic in nature. It's midrabanan. Midaraisa, you would say in tefillah, or you could do Kiddush on the bread. Okay, that's the story over here. In the footnote that they point out over here, that when we're saying Hanukkah, what are we talking about exactly when we say Hanukkah? So what that means is you need to light it on Friday. You have double lighting over here for Shabbos and for Hanukkah. So now the question becomes what to do. However, let's say we're talking about Shabbos candles, Shabbos candle for Shabbos, versus you need to light Hanukkah candles on Thursday. So it could very well be that wouldn't be a question. Hanukkah candles will come first because ein ma'avir al mitzvahs. We don't pass over mitzvahs, and that mitzvah hits us first on Thursday. However, the Torah's Chaim says that you need to look into this. Because if you're not going to light the Shabbos candles, there won't be peace. So what's the difference between Hanukkah candles of today and yesterday? Both of them, you need the Shabbos. So that's something to discuss. In footnote Chav Gimel, they just quote the Gemara in Shabbos, which we learned back in Siman Tafrei Shayin Ches, that Rava says it's obvious. When it comes to Shabbos candles and when it comes to Hanukkah candles, Shabbos candles comes first because of Shalom Bayis. Just quote that line over there in the Gemara.
So
Yeah.
he's saying that they come first, but in terms of lighting, the Hanukkah candles come first on Friday night, and then you do the Nero Shabbos, right? Is that what he was trying to say?
On Friday night?
Right, yeah.
No, what did we say? We said over here, right? If you can't afford both, Ner Shabbos comes first,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no, I'm saying in terms of order of lighting. That's what he was saying. Okay,
Oh
forget it.
no, he's not talking about the order of lighting. He's talking about if you could only afford one.
Right,
For sure, this would apply on Shabbos night. The question is, would this also apply Thursday night now? So according to the rabbis, no, Hanukkah will come first. The Torah's Chaim says that yes, the Shabbos will come first
oh,
because
wow.
that you need shalom. So even
That in the concept of name, I don't
you
know.
forget about that. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It
Why
gets
this?
pushed off
Why?
because lighting, having, making sure that you have an air for Shabbos is more important. Shabbos candle because you need peace in the house,
I
even
mean,
though the obligation didn't hit you first.
from the
Yes,
Ravaz, though.
that's right. Even though it didn't
No,
hit you
but
first,
the
doesn't matter.
Ravaz would say otherwise.
That's right. You would. You have an argument there. That's right. The Mishnah Berurah then continued, and he said that if you only have one candle, that's enough. You could just do one. All right. Now, let's say if you have one candle for Shabbos and one for Hanukkah, and you have a little bit leftover money. So the Mishnah Berurah gave his own insight over here, and he said it would be better to purchase more Hanukkah candles than Shabbos. The Mahadran. I thought that was an interesting idea. No one else said that. Do we see anyone else who said that?
Do we see anybody who had this situation?
Anyone could have made this situation.
True.
They didn't. So since they didn't say it, no one else said it. The Magen Avraham says if a woman who's blind, all right, she can light Shabbos candles because she gets pleasure from the light. However, if she has a husband that isn't blind, the husband should light it and recite the bracha. Yeah, good. So now what do they add over here on this case? Say like this. Oh, wait, hold it. Why could she say a bracha? She's blind, she can't see. Dohanen is gamkin memoider. She gets pleasure from the light. Pleasure from the light, she can't see. Well, the idea over here is that she gets pleasure because other people use the light and help her. And then she won't trip. Other people help her. All right, so that's the explanation over there with the blind case. Um, okay, so that's the blind case. That's the Mishnah Berurah. Let's roll through some of the footnotes from the Dershu Mishnah Berurah. Okay, we are going to begin Mishnah Berurah that we didn't touch them on yet. Is going to start from Yud Aleph. Yud Aleph over here deals with Yechuhu Gamkin Lahadlak. This is talking about in Yud Aleph. Let's say the husband wants to light. Guess what? He's not allowed to. His wife comes first. However, if there's a lot of candles, he could light. Yeah? He lights in another room or something like that. Right? So what do they say over here? Okay. Multiple rooms in the house. Yeah, that's right. You know, nowadays we have the electricity. All right. So if the husband wants to, he could turn on the electrical lights and have in mind that will count as Shabbos candles. Granted, he's not going to say a bracha. We're going to learn about that more. We're going to come back to this specific point. All right. Nowadays, we learned about if a woman just gave birth. We saw in the Magen Avraham and the Mishnah Berurah, she wouldn't light the first week. The answer is because she can't get up from her bed. However, nowadays, which we also touched upon yesterday, and they quote Rabbi Elyashiv who says this, the custom is that they do light. Again, this is talking about that they're not weak enough. We're talking about she just gave birth 10 a.m. Friday morning on a C-section. That's already something else. All right? You know, recovery and with moving and everything. Dershu's touching upon this now. We're going to learn about this more also. Let's say your wife isn't home, or she can't light, very sick. Rav Elyashiv says the older daughters would light, not the husband, not the father.
Bas mitzvah.
Yeah, that's right. Because they're more involved with house matters, more found in the house. This is actually going to be a discussion. We'll have to touch upon that some more also. And actually, the Chut Shani is unsure what the ruling would be in this scenario. Maybe the husband's better. Mitzvah b'yosem b'shulcha, better to do mitzvah yourself. Only we said his wife lights instead of her. We say ishto kigufo, and for other reasons it was given over for women, as we discussed yesterday. Or maybe the daughter shalom, because the women they extinguished the candle of the world, the marishon. That would even be more important. Let's say your daughter's over who's also married, but your wife isn't home. Rav Elyashiv says for sure she's going to light first. For sure. Excuse me. He doesn't say that. For sure you light.
Wow.
And then she lights. Because you need to light on your own. She's not part of your house. Excuse me. Surprising ruling. I thought she was going to cover you. Surprising ruling. You light, and then she lights. Shocker. Interesting psak. Let's say you only have children that are home. Shlomo Zalman Auerbach says one of the girls who reached the age of 12, she lights. That's the dersha.
Are we going to learn about situations where the wife goes away and the husband eats somewhere else?
We're gonna be
If I
covering.
mother or mother, or even just found friends.
We're gonna be covering all situations over here. All situations.
Have that coming up next week.
Well, what's the Shiloh?
The Shaila is my wife, my daughter and daughter-in-law are going away,
Yeah,
you know, for a week.
yeah.
And I will be home alone for Shabbos.
Yeah.
I'm not sure yet if I'm staying by my mother or if they're just going to stay by my house and eat by my mother-in-law
Okay.
or by,
So you have to light. What's the Shiloh?
so I have to light no matter what. If I'm by my mother, sleeping over,
You're
I'm
covered by your
both
mother.
covered by my mother. But if I'm sleeping by my house, no
Yeah,
matter where I'm going to be, I gotta
you have
light.
to light. And we're gonna discuss that more. We're
Wait,
gonna
what was
see.
the scenario? What was the
Don't
scenario?
worry about it. We're gonna discuss it, so we're
What
gonna
if
get
he's
there.
All
eating
right.
someone else? He's still gonna light at his house. He won't light at the other person's house,
Even though it's a relative.
even though it's a relative. Yeah.
Yeah, you like where you sleep. We're gonna learn about that. You're gonna learn about that. It's good for the man to set up the candles, and we touched upon this already yesterday. Rabbi Akiva Eger, they're quoting this idea. We already saw it
By
yesterday.
good, you mean like
Hivav.
recommended but not
Which
required?
one?
Recommended but not required, or
Where you sleep?
it's like in a normal situation, like
If I'm not mistaken, where are you gonna sleep? That's what you like.
no.
We're gonna see. There
Then
might be
it's with
different
the man.
opinions.
With the man, you're saying it's good, meaning that it's like a
We're
good
gonna
thing.
we're gonna see there are gonna be opinions, but they're not gonna be the general halacha of your wife could fulfill your obligation wherever you are in the world. It's not so simple, and some even say, especially if it's different time zones, we're gonna see. What we do nowadays is that if your wife goes away or you're away on a business trip, you
You
gotta
like
light. Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Now
If a man doesn't light, is he an ones? There's a punishment.
we already touched that. We already learned that. We already saw that you're not going to get fined. You won't need to light an additional candle, but you nullified this mitzvah.
You mevatel the mitzvah saseh,
Yeah,
d'rabbanan.
yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right. You missed it.
You missed out.
That's right. You lost it. So this is basically some of the main points that were worthwhile to share coming from the Dirshu Mishnah Berurah. Okay, so now we are going to learn through from the Piskei Teshuvos. I went through this already in the Sefer itself, but I didn't underline anything. I didn't do it digitally. It was just I couldn't I didn't have access to my computer. But I looked at it. I mean, I already learned all of this, let's be honest. But I made it fresher in my mind so it'd be smooth. So what are we talking about over here? We're talking about the first week when a woman gives birth, she wouldn't lie. So he points out, like we said, that's referring to their day and age. They weren't capable of lighting. They wouldn't get off of their bed for many days. Also, there was a lack of wasn't clean enough. Wasn't clean enough, right? However, nowadays she would light with the bracha where she is. Again, you have to assess the situation. Let's say she had a C-section, a couple hours before Shabbos. That's you're not going to light in that case, even with all of the medicine and everything.
That's a great onus.
Right, exactly. So let's just look at these footnotes. Footnote 97. This isn't actually a fascinating reason over here. The purpose of women is to fix that sin. Chava caused Adam to sin. Right? So she brought death into the world. We all used to be immortal. Immortality. Consequently, the first week after she gives birth, she brought light into the world through the child already. She brought life. And therefore, the obligation of lighting would go on the husband. It's an interesting reason.
That would cover her even if she's not in bed.
That would cover her even if she could walk. We don't
Right.
really do that, but it's a interesting food for thought. Food for thought. You have to worry about this. Let's say she's gonna light right by her bed, and then you're gonna like blow him out or something. It's in a hospital. You're gonna move him to another place where no one is. That's certainly not preferable. Now, the many times you wouldn't even fulfill your obligation b'diavad. And again, this just keeps foreshadowing the tea light case with the
But
hotels
who would blow them out?
disaster. I don't know, someone in the hospital or something.
Oh, someone in the hospital would blow them out.
No, no,
In Israel, they allow it.
quickly, let's say you light when no one's in the room, and then in a hospital,
Well, that's gonna.
every 6.5 minutes, someone's coming into the room, to do something. That's how
No.
hospitals work, especially after
Oh, if you're lucky.
yeah. So
I wonder what they do.
you put in an area where no one is, so you wouldn't do that. You're talking. That's why you bring a flashlight. That has enough battery. That's what you do. Remember, you don't need the battery to last the whole Shabbos. You just needed a good, 2, 3 hours at most, technically. You know. Anyhow, um, that's the idea over here. Sometimes it's not clean enough. Um, you know, after a birth, it can get very messy. Tina Falida, Nakia Saguf. Nowadays is a pretty quick turnover. But this is definitely something to contend with in terms of from a mess perspective. So let's continue. Now, if she could light, she would light. The husband would fulfill his obligation. They say over here, even if the husband isn't with his wife. All right. However, if he's in a place where no one's lighting candles over there, it's fitting that he should have in mind he doesn't want to fulfill his obligation with his wife's lighting. In other words, it's not so simple for your wife to fulfill your obligation of lighting Shabbos candles if you're not in that location. It's really not so simple to rely on that at all. That's what this is saying over here. And therefore, you would light yourself unless you're in an area where someone else is lighting.
So what's this? That in other words, if she's in the same neighborhood as you, she could technically be out to you. I mean, is it work time zone? I mean, how far does
Yeah,
this
but
go?
we're gonna get to that, and that's the next paragraph over here. Let's say a woman's traveling. Let's say she's on a business trip. Okay? For some reason, they're not together for Shabbos. Husband's at home. So if there's a married woman in the husband's house, let's say his daughter's married, he has his mother over, his mother-in-law, whatever it is, who's lighting Shabbos candles, he doesn't have to light. However, if no one else is in his house that is lighting, he has to light. Even if he has older daughters that aren't married, what it's saying over here is that it's better for him to light. His daughters technically could light instead of him with the bracha.
We just see different a little bit.
Yes, we did. There's different opinions about this.
Okay.
If both parents travel from the house, they're going on sometimes the parents, they go on a getaway by themselves, right?
Mhm.
You have older daughters that are home. You're not going away with a bunch of 4-year-olds at home, right? They're already older. They could take care of themselves. But no one is married. The daughter should light. Okay, that's the end of that one. Um, anyways, so this is the story over here. Right? And this is the custom, even though we have electricity nowadays. If your wife goes away, you light. All right. So that's basically bottom line halacha. All right. Yeah. This is actually a very important point. If you have girls who are in a house and the family is not religious and they're not lighting Shabbos candles, in that case, the daughters have to be very careful to light because someone's got to light in that house to fulfill the obligation of the whole house. So that is a very good miscellaneous point that has to do with the topic that we're dealing with. When our wives light, we and all of everyone under the roof of our house, all of our family members fulfill their obligation with that. Even so, the custom is for daughters who are visiting other houses to light on their own. Custom is. in many holy congregations among the Jews, the custom is for girls to light even before they're married, even though they're lighting with their mother. And they have what to rely on. However, it is better for them not to say the bracha. They should listen to the bracha from their mother and have in mind to fulfill their obligation with that bracha, or they could light in a separate room, in a separate area, if there's no concern of fire.
What are they lighting? Their own too, or like their extra candle? Like
Yeah,
some
extra one candle, whatever it is.
candle, so technically,
Enough.
then their wife will light one less because like the wife does for the kids.
Nope, the wife has to do her number.
Her
In
number.
addition to that, this is
So I mean, there's two kids. There's this wife does 4 candles, and the door does an additional. She
That's right.
grandpa candle.
That's right.
Right.
There's an additional.
Okay.
This is the very important shaila for any Jewish girl. Do you like candles to light or not to light? That is the question. So we see from over here this idea of really she shouldn't be making a bracha. Now, a lot of places they do make a bracha, but this is certainly something to contend with over here.
She's not making bracha because of the Ravam issue, or
She's not making a bracha because she fulfills the obligation with her mother.
uh-huh.
What's the point of her lighting? Chinuch? Get her involved with the mitzvah over here. Right. We talked about if the husband wants to light, he could light. However, it would be without a bracha. How long is this thing? Okay, I want to rush this thing. Okay, so we're gonna pick it up from this thing tomorrow. I don't want to rush the parsha, that's why.
Monday.
Yeah, I mean, the next session we're gonna pick that up.